There's no mistake. Sean McVay has a guy when it comes to drafting and recruiting players. He has a guy, especially at the running back position. We've been studying the running back depth chart for the Rams for the last few years now, ever since the inception of Kyren Williams. This year, they drafted Jarquez Hunter, and he's a gem in this year's class, a late-round dandy with a lot of upside, a late-round dart throw that could be a sneaky insurance policy for this team. We're going to look at his player profile, how he fits with this team, what McVay said about him. We're going to go over those interviews, plus much, much more. Click that subscribe button right now because we're talking about these running backs, these rookie running backs, all off season long. Soon rookie camp's going to be here. You're going to see what your rookies are doing on the field right here on this channel. Click that button, stop missing out. But Sean McVay tells all. He's going to let you know what he thinks of Hunter, a little bit about backfield, but look how intense he is.
You know, I think when you really look at it, unless obviously, you know, being an Auburn alum, but you look at just the way that this guy played the game at a high level and, you know, an incredibly competitive conference. And a lot of guys that are drafted that are playing on Sundays where he's got the ability to go through you or to be able to run away from you. And I think, you know, we got a chance to spend a little bit of time with him as a coaching staff on a Zoom call. He had a great demeanor about himself, but when you put the film on, he lights up and you can really feel, you know, his ability to have a recall and it means something to him. His security to be able to accept coaching and take accountability for some things that maybe he could improve upon. But I think the competitive stamina that you see, the production, you talk to a lot of coaches in that league that you have tremendous respect for, and the way that they spoke about Jarquez and going against him and what he meant to that football team and the competitiveness that he'd really displayed. And, you know, and he can hit home runs for you too. You know, you give him a vertical seam, he's got the ability to run away from you. I mean, some of the metrics that we have on him are really impressive, but, you know, I texted Kyren how excited I am for him to be able to get a chance to learn from him and be around him. And you talk about the epitome of a pro's pro, the way that he goes about his business day in and day out, and Kyren Williams. And it's the same thing. You know, he'll get a chance to see how Blake Corum moves. You know, what does Ronnie Rivers, how does he do his thing? You know, Cody Schrader into his second year. So we were excited about him, and obviously Les and his group had a real appreciation for him. And then once the coaches laid eyes on him, there was a collective buy-in.
I see Taylor Morton's wife, Carissa, back in the back, I believe. Thomas Morton, her son, Taylor's son as well, spent some time at Auburn. So we got a little inside info on Mr. Hunter.
Sean McVay has a dude at the running back position. He likes lunch pail running backs who are dependable. And if you're not dependable, you got to get out. He loves dependability. Kyren Williams, the most dependable running back there is, and he does not let him leave the field. If something happens to Kyren Williams, he wants to make sure that stable running backs behind him are dependable. He drafted a dependable running back in Hunter. You got Blake Corum, who out of Michigan, when they drafted him, was pretty much a lunch pail, dependable running back. That was his profile. And his profile had some similarities, some similar characteristics to Kyren Williams. But he's got more to say here about Hunter. He likes Hunter a lot. Check it out.
Hunter was a guy, he produced at a high level in the SEC. He's got the ability to go through you or away from you with his speed. And we had a Zoom with him last week, and he's a man-to-man, like his temperament, like the way that the game speaks to us when you watch his tape, and he's a stud.
Going into the draft, that Hunter is one of my late-round gems that I was watching throughout the draft because the size, the power, the athleticism. He put Auburn on his back. He's very dependable. And the fact that the Rams took him, despite drafting a running back last year with good draft capital, is an indicator to me that they want a good stable. They do want a good stable for a committee if something happens to Kyren Williams. And coming out of high school, we weren't heavily recruited. We were a 3-star prospect, 19 offers. Not too bad in the recruiting sites. But we went to Auburn, and we started racking up some production early. And then it just ramped up from there. 909 yards in 2023, 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns in 2024, averaging 4.1 yards after contact per attempt, 4.06. When we were getting the most of our workload. That means we can turn out yards in space, we can run through you, we can run around you, we're very efficient. Yards after the catch per reception, not too much yak, but 8.5 yards after the catch per reception. We can be using the passing game a little bit as we got a little bit of work in the passing game, not too much, just 27 targets, but not horribly awful either, considering the top target getter had 79 targets, under 100 targets on the season. That being said, Hunter is a grinder. Efficient grinder between the tackles that's going to get you yards after contact. Runs a 4.44, has speed to burn, a little over 200 pounds compared to DeAndre Swift when it comes to size-adjusted athleticism. Okay production coming out of here, and is a running back that just excels on tape. Good between the tackles, good in space, good in that second level, and doesn't put the football on the ground. This is a type of running back McVay wants, and he's got a little bit more speed than the other two running backs that are on the depth chart, and he's going to be the RB3/2 right behind Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams ain't leaving. Kyren Williams ain't leaving. He ain't going nowhere. Kyren Williams is going to be the guy. Might even get a fat contract here soon. But now behind him, you got a stable of Corum and Hunter. So if something happens to Williams, Corum barely got any work last year. It's hard to really make a statement on how good he is at the NFL level. We know he's good at Michigan. We knew he had some opportunities. He almost flashed, but we didn't quite get there. Hunter's got a little bit more pop than the other two running backs. He's got a little bit more wiggle. Similar in stature, a little different, a little off, but still he's got a little bit more pop. Very dependable, a good grinder with some pop to him, which is something McVay's going to like. And now you got two good running backs behind Kyren Williams, two good prospects. So if something happens to Williams, now you got a committee. Now you can share the workload. And one of these backs could take over. Now if the injury bug really starts biting Kyren Williams, you got a three-man committee. Now you can save Williams for deeper into the season. And you've got two running backs to hang your hat on, and maybe one starts doing better than the other. Or Father Time kicks in a little quicker on Kyren Williams, considering we were getting so much work last year. We were getting all the touches, and Blake Corum's over here being okay, not living up to his draft capital or what he did at Michigan. And now you're looking at a backfield where Hunter could step in, because we're looking at Kyren Williams. His contract's up at the end of this year. Say those touches from last year, all those snaps start to accumulate and start to really impact how he plays the game. He starts to slow down a little bit. Now you got that insurance policy. Not predicting, but talking in realms of possibilities, because anything could happen. It's football, and that's really how the running back position works. That's why teams don't pay up for running backs. But we're looking at a starting running back here that has a high probability of getting injured in 2025 per Draft Sharks at an 88.7% chance due to multiple injuries prior to last year and all the touches he got last year. Fourth in snaps, up there with touches, leading all running backs in pass blocking snaps. Durability concerns really wasn't an issue last year, but those are pre-existing conditions. And honestly, touch after touch after touch. And honestly, the more touches you get, the more hits you're getting, which are more chances of injury. That being said, it's not a prediction, but something to take note of. You got a good core here just in case something happens to Kyren Williams, and just in case the Rams want to do something else in the future. I'm looking for him to get a fat contract. That is really my take on it. But you know how I am. I like to talk about the realms of possibilities. But Hunter's a good running back that can churn it and burn it between the tackles. He's got some pop in the step. And he's a lunch pail guy, just like the other running backs. And I think McVay's going to like him. I think he might even usurp Blake Corum on the offense. He has potential for that. Corum's a damn good decorated running back from Michigan. And he should do better here in 2025 in his second year. But still, one thing we can definitely say, they got a good insurance policy for Kyren Williams, because you got your stud running back, and you should always have a good insurance policy when you're relying on a stud running back, because your offense is tailored to that stud running back, and if something happens to that stud running back, you don't have to change as much. At least you can move around those running backs with snaps and reps and whatever till you get something that fits to your offensive system for in-game, in-week, or what's going on. That being said, let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to hear about that. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. Thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.